Hello friends and welcome to my longhouse. Do you all remember I was participating in the Fimbulwinter tournament that AOL Iron Maiden was hosting a few months ago? Well, in that tournament you get a special prize when you participate, and you do well of course. So last tournament, that was a year ago, I won this, which is obviously a longboat as you can see, right? It's really well made, really high quality. And the thing in the middle here, it's incense, so you can light it, and the smoke is automatically going to fall down, and it's going to look really. It looks really cool when you put it on fire. But this year, as some of you have probably noticed if you followed my YouTube channel, I got second place. I lost to Shadowfax in the end, unfortunately. But I did get a consolidatory prize anyways, and it's this. It's a Gjallarhorn. I don't actually know what it's called in English, but it's a horn. You know, famously, they say that Heimdall would blow his horn during or sort of announcing Ragnarok. There would be Heimdall blowing his horn. And I guess, I don't know if this is just something from movies and such, but Vikings would do this when they went into war, right? So you look at this mighty horn, it's really big. I was surprised by how big it was. It's a genuine cow horn too, from India. But yeah, they would blow the horn. Here it is. Just woke up my neighbors, by the way. But no, I just wanted to show you that. I thought that was really cool. My Gjallarhorn. But today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I set up my game, my hotkeys, and my general setup. How I'm able to sort of play as efficiently as I am, because a lot of people will tell you, or they'll tell you that I'm one of the slower players. At least in terms of APM, it's true. I don't have a lot of actions per minute compared to someone like Rabble. He's on YouTube too. You can see him play, and he does a lot while he's playing. I tend to not press as many buttons, not have as many control groups and everything, but I still manage to play at a high level. So yeah, let's just get into that. So my number one tip to you actually is to set up hotkeys like Q, W, E, R. I want your left finger to be on Q, W, E, R. That's where I have mine, at least. Some people use Q, W, E, or they have their pinky free. I use my pinky for Q. Others use their, what is this, ring finger for Q instead. But your hotkeys should be centered on the left side of the keyboard. And by that, I mean, for example, when you're building units here, this is my hill fort. When I press Q, I make a housecarl, W, Jarl, E, portable ram, R, ballista. Right? It's really simple. Q, W, E, R. And my longhouse, Q, Ulfsark, W, throwing axemen. This is a bit weird. I use E for raiding cavalry and then R for Herser. I think that makes a bit more sense. But the concept is the same. Q, W, E, R is for unit production. On my market, Q is a caravan. There are no more units here, but it's still just Q. On the temple, I use R for my Herser. You can only make one myth unit each button. This is so stupid. They should have just made H, or a second H myth unit, third H myth unit, fourth H myth unit. For some reason, you cannot do that. So you have to decide which myth units am I building the most, and then you have to make them the QWE buttons. So QWER are your friends here when you're producing units. And then you also want, whenever you're building buildings, QWER should be important buildings. So for example, when I press Q, I build a barracks. When I press W, it's a wall. When I press E, it's a house. And when I press R, it's a temple. And you know, there are so many buildings in Age of Mythology, as you can see here. So you're going to have to stray away from QWER now. When I press T, it's an armory. And A and S. A actually is an archery range if you're playing Greek. S is a stable or a counter barracks if you're playing as Atlantean. So when I play Norse, A and S actually aren't even used. D is a dock, not any use on a land map. F is a farm, so, well, I'm gonna have to need a gatherer for you to see that, but it's a farm. G is a granary. Once again, I'm Norse, so I don't need it. And C, town center, very important. And X, you know, market, not very important. Like, I'm down to the X and C buttons now. You don't need these hotkeys for a market. You can just go down to market yourself here. C is a siege shop if you're playing Egyptian. V is hill fort. I think the reason why V is a bit off from the other buttons, but for me, the way I hold my hand, I always have V very. It's a very easy button for me to press, so I just have it here. Yeah, that's actually all that's all the buildings I have. And then what you want is to also set up so that you can easily find these buildings. The way I have done it is I hold down Alt and then I press the button that I have the hotkey set up for. So when I hold down Alt Q, I found a barracks. When I press Alt W, you know, I don't need to find a wall. So Alt W is find a hill fort. Alt E, find a house. Alt R, find a temple. Alt T, find the armory. It just corresponds to the building hotkey that I took, so it's really easy to remember. So QWER setup is the most important thing that you can do. Get comfortable with it and learn to sort of have the mechanic in your left finger. That's the most important thing you can do. Another really important thing to do is to have a, some people have like 9 different control groups, and that's really terrifying for a lot of people. I'm not ever going to be able to do that, you might say, but I'll be honest with you, I only use 3 control groups, and I can still play at pretty much the top level. So, town center, I make control group 2 for my town center. Why do I do this? Well, when I press, that's another hotkey actually, when I press spacebar, I find a settlement, and you see the screen moving with it. So I like to have my home TC on control group 2 so that I can easily switch. Say I'm doing a bunch of stuff over here and I just want to make a rallying point over here. I just press 2 and I switch my rallying point without my screen moving, because it can be really annoying. So that's a very, very useful hotkey to have, especially in Archaic Age and Classical Age. Maybe not so much in the late game. Another control group I like to have is, this is actually the most important one I think, is on all your military production. Have them on control group 1. So this, let's just say this is all my military production. I put it on 1. By the way, if you just press the longhouse here, you need to hold down shift and you add to the current selection. Reason I want all of my military production on 1 control group is so that whenever I'm fighting, say over here, and I quickly need to change my production over here because I want to siege this town center, for example, or I want to switch production over here, it's so easy for me to do so. I just press 1 and I quickly decide where I want to send my military units. So it's very, very important that you do this. And it's just one other thing you have to get comfortable with. It sucks a bit because when you build a new longhouse, say you build 2 new longhouses here, you see I press 1 and these 2 aren't included. So whenever you build new buildings, you always have to press 1, hold down shift, add these new buildings to the control group, and then make control group 1. This is something you just have to get comfortable with. If you want to really improve your gameplay and be a lot faster, you gotta do this one. You really have to do it. And then I also have a control group 3, and the reason, well, right now I actually don't, but if it was a water map, I would have my docks on control group 3, once again because I'm producing things from there, but I want to be able to determine where I want to produce archer ships coming from. So since it's a land map, I can maybe use my control group 3 for the Valkyrie if I go raiding. It's a very nice thing to do. Can also use it for if I'm in a fight versus Greeks, for example. I want to be able to move my cavalry around very, very well. I need to use my cavalry to get behind enemy lines, so to speak. So I can make these raiding cavalry my control group 3, and I can have my main army sort of here, and then this group here, I can run around with them, and you see how easy it is for me to do this, right? So if you do this, it allows you to sort of move very effectively around with your raiding cavalry. And you can try to get behind enemy lines, hit those toxicities or chariot archers from behind, instead of just having all of your units in a straight up line like this. Because you'll be met by camels or spearmen or hoplites or whatever it is. So have them over here instead. Oh, but I think that's it for me this time, actually. I'm not going to go into much more detail than this. This, you know, it's just 5 or 10 minute video. I don't know how long it is, but it's very easy for me to explain. But you have to set it up yourself, and you have to get comfortable with it. And this takes hours, if not days, before you get comfortable with it. So I'm gonna stop right there, and hopefully you learned something from this, and you're going to improve your gameplay by this. Thank you for watching.